Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Garner, Director of Research here at Emerald, and I'm here with my good pal Digby, our corporate mascot, for episode 2 of Small Talk, where the market caps are small, but the ideas are big. So I'm happy to be here today with Scott Blumenthal, our Director of Industrials Research. Scott, you and I go back a long way. Do you remember when we first met?
In the line at the bookstore in graduate school, yes.
Scott and I are both alums of the Katz Graduate School of Business at the University of Pittsburgh. And as Scott mentioned, we met day one in the bookstore. You never know where these relationships will lead you, and Scott's been with us for over 20 years, if I am correct.
My 21-year anniversary was last month.
There you go. There you go. And I think that speaks to the tenure of our employee base here at Emerald. So, Scott, as I mentioned, you are the Director of Industrials Research here. Now, many people may not be aware of this, but one of the best performing sectors in the Russell 2000 Growth Index year to date is industrials. Given all the ups and downs of the market and all the macroeconomic concerns that are out there, industrials are one of the sectors leading the way. That's got to surprise some people. Why do you think that's been the case?
Yeah, you know, the market's a forward-looking discounting mechanism, and I think this has been an anticipatory run into what's kind of an expected industrial recovery. We've seen that the industrial economy has been in contraction for the better part of the last 30 months, I think 29 out of the last 31 months. Recessions tend to last about 18 months, so I think that we're about due for an industrial recovery. And also, you know, we kind of lump a lot of things into industrials. We've had some things that have been doing better than others. And I think those stocks or those companies, sectors that have been performing a little bit better are being seen as kind of a precursor to what's to come.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about some of these areas that have been leading the industrial so far? Because you're right, it's an interesting amalgamation of industries and companies within the industrial area. And again, something might surprise people. If not the largest, the second largest sector. It kind of goes back and forth with healthcare. So yeah, what's leading the way?
Yeah, so I think that the two that come to mind, top of mind first, would be, of course, aerospace and defense, because we're in the middle of an historic build, both Boeing and Airbus, more than 13,000 airframes, I believe, on order, and a backlog of 8 or 9 years. What's interesting about that is that it's been a little bit of a struggle for Boeing.
That's the understatement of this interview, by the way.
They haven't been able to get the aircraft built as quickly as possible. And also, when you introduce a new airframe, there are issues that you need to work through. And so the issues that are being worked through, plus the fact that they've been struggling to get the aircraft out, those have both created opportunities for maintenance, repair, and overhaul, because you still have to use the older fleet, and you have to fix the new ones that have come out because they're working through the kinks. So that's kind of created a situation where everybody in the whole aerospace supply chain has been really busy. I think the other sector that everybody has pretty much paid close attention to has been kind of power generation, energy distribution. We're all carrying around 3 or 4 electronic devices. You know, now we have to power our watches. We've now got data centers that are going to be consuming the same, you know, amount of energy as small cities. And all of this power, we have to build out the power generation capacity. We have to build out the transmission and distribution capacity. We have to make sure that the grid can all support it. It's multi-directional. It used to be you just generated the power and sent it to the users. Now they're capturing it solar and sending it back into the grid, so all kinds of things are happening. And that's all been very good for those two sectors.
Yeah, let me ask you a question on the aerospace area.
Yeah.
You know, Boeing has been doing a little better job as of late, it appears.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that mean that this opportunity in the aftermarket from operating those older aircraft are coming to a close? Or how long do you think it takes Boeing to get back on top of things here?
Well, we just were in a meeting recently, and I talked about how Boeing, I believe, hit the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, threshold for the number of aircraft they're allowed to build right now. FAA stepped in when Boeing started to show some quality issues, and they put a cap on the number they're able to build, the number of 737s they're able to build at 38. Boeing hit 38. I think if they do that for a few more months, they may lift the cap. And the interesting thing about that is obviously it will be very nice to have some more aircraft put into the fleet. But when you start to pull the older aircraft out of the fleet, then you start to disassemble those, and those become pieces and parts. Those go back into inventory. They get repurposed in some of the older aircraft. So I think that there's going to be a virtuous cycle here, and that's all underpinned by really strong demand for air travel, not just domestically. I think we're up about 3% year over year in North America.
Yeah.
But internationally, I think we're up 10 or 11% year over year, and so combined worldwide air travel is up about 8%, and I think that's a combination of a number of things, but the demand is there, and I think that this will be sustainable for
Right,
quite a
so
while.
we're looking at a long-term trend here, it appears. Okay, great. And you talked about what's going on with the grid and the electrical opportunities. One of the areas when we have our tech folks on the air here, they're talking about AI this and AI that. AI have a role to play in industrials, and with all the power that's needed to make it work, does that play into that electrical grid constraint you were talking about?
Well, yes. All the power that they're consuming certainly plays into the electrical grid constraint. I think there was a story just today saying that Amazon is going to be spending $20 billion just in the state of Pennsylvania on AI and data centers. Last week, $10 billion in North Carolina. Amazon committed to $10 billion just
It's starting
in
to
North
add
Carolina.
up.
It really is. And like I said, these data centers consume the same amount of energy as a small city. So, I don't think that the angle, at least from an industrial perspective, is application of AI to industrial processes, because we've been doing this machine learning, as this has been kind of going on for a while. We've called it automation, digitization, robotics, all of these things have been applied. But I think, at least for us in the industrial sector, these are large facilities. You have to clear a massive area that's, 2,000 football fields or something like that. And, you have to dig a hole and put a bunch of rocks in there and pour concrete and then build a large building. And, one of the very interesting things about these facilities is that they have to be kept very cool, because the equipment runs very hot, and depending upon where you put them, they really require state-of-the-art cooling and climate management systems, which always leads me to wonder why they're not all being built in North Dakota. Right.
You've made that point before.
Where you would only have to cool them, 3 or 4 months out of the year, and then the ambient temperature could cool them for the rest of the year.
North Dakota Chamber of Commerce, look him up. I think you can certainly argue there's a lot going on in the industrial space, which might explain by what we've been seeing in the market. So Scott, it's been a terrific conversation. It's been great having you here on the program today. Really appreciate it. I want to direct all of our listeners to teamemerald.com for this interview and for all of our small talk episodes and other content on a regular basis. So teamemerald.com, everybody. See you, Digby.